Thank you, Megan. A little bit of Moon River to start us out. Good morning. Welcome to Unitarian Coastal Fellowship. Ours is a pluralistic faith community that draws wisdom from the world's religions, as well as our own experiences of the divine, and we choose to come together into a covenantal community. Speaking of which, Yom Kippur begins at nightfall, and so on this most solemn of Jewish holidays, Jewish friends and neighbors fast, pray, and seek forgiveness and atone for sins of the past, from the past year. Today you can wish our Jewish neighbors, friends and family, Yom Tov, and also wish them an easy fast. My name is Marilyn Cullison, and I'm the worship leader for this morning and the chair of the worship committee. And with me are choir director Tom Cullison and our accompanist Megan Smith, and our AV team is Susan Roberts and Dan. Thank you both. It takes a team. Today, our interim minister, Reverend Micah Ma, is off. And I am disappointed, and we are disappointed that we cannot welcome Reverend Lisa to our sanctuary. She has never seen it. She is sick with COVID. So we have her message will be on video, and she's provided us with words for all the other parts of the service that she was going to do, and we hope she gets better soon. Lisa serves as the executive director of the Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry of North Carolina. In this role, Reverend Garcia Sampson has the pleasure of working with over 24 Unitarian Universalist congregations across the state on a wide range of intersectional justice issues, which she explains in her video. Are there any visitors in the sanctuary this morning who would like to introduce themselves? And if you would, raise your hand if you're a visitor. If you would like to introduce yourselves, I have a mic that I ask that you use so that the people on Zoom can hear. Is there anyone who wants to say hello? Oh, I'm not sure if anyone may say, because I know we have visitors. So. Well, I welcome you this morning. And now Joella in Essex has some announcements for us.
Good morning. I'm Joellen Essex, chair of the Finance Committee. And big announcement that I love to talk about is we did win the lottery to sell tickets to the Seafood Festival, or sell drinks at the Seafood Festival, a big fundraiser for UCF. And we need volunteers on October 6th, 7th, and 8th to sell Pepsi products and count change. It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to get to know each other better because you're not in the booth alone. There's at least 2, possibly 3 people in there together, and of our congregation. And the more volunteers we have, the easier it is for everyone. So look in the wave, last Friday's wave, for the sign-up link. And I know that there are positions that are open. Now, we have also known from the start of Reverend Ma's time with us that they are our interim minister. So we're in the process of searching for our next full-time contract minister. We've been hosting discussion groups called cottage meetings to help us gain a deeper understanding of the needs of the UCF congregation. There are 2 remaining, this Thursday starting at 4:30 and also at 7 p.m. please try to attend one of these remaining meetings. We want to hear from everyone who cares about the future of UCF. Members, friends, visitors. You don't have to be a member to join in this conversation. They will be updating us at the Coffee with the Board today. So there is a Coffee with the Board after the service. Our search committee members are Tom Cullison, Miriam Green, who's probably not here, Sarah Grenier, who's back in the quiet room, Penny Hooper. Where's Penny? Oh. I thought you skipped out on us, okay. And Amy Jones, there she is. And also the next one, do you want to beef up your small talk game? Maybe move up to medium talk. We're having a workshop and training this Saturday, September 30th, at 9:30 a.m. on how to welcome the stranger. We will be talking about how it's everyone's job to be welcoming and ways that we can be even more welcoming than we already are. So this training is for everyone. And especially if you're interested in growing our church, welcoming new people, or just want tips on how to be more inclusive and make friends. There is a Coffee with the Board after the service today. Did I get everything? And now we invite everyone in the sanctuary to please silence your cell phone, and all those on Zoom to please turn off their cameras to conserve bandwidth. And now we invite everyone in the sanctuary to please greet one another. Say hello to someone you know, or better yet, someone you don't know.
I would like to invite Penny Hooper up to help me with being a worship associate for the service. Thank you, Penny. Our opening words are Call to Gather for the High Holy Days by Leah Onigri.
This is a season of repair, a time to reflect on how we might endure when life tears at us.
We are held by the great book of life, in which it is written that we will inevitably face deprivation and discomfort, longing and forgiveness. Each among us must contemplate our own place in it all.
As those of us in relationship with Judaism mark the high holy days, our hearts fill with hope and fear, turning and settling, mystery and agency, accountability and acceptance. Let us gather today in somber celebration of our shared humanity and our personal power. Come, let us worship together.
Thank you. Thank you, Penny. Penny's going to help me light the candle, so don't sit down. Yesterday, our distant ancestors gathered round a flame to share their stories and find comfort. Tomorrow, our descendants will gather round a flame, talking of a life we will never know. But today, it is we who gather here around this flame, seeking, believing, and being together. We also light a peace candle to remind ourselves that peace is a process that requires work, that peace is not merely an absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. Thank you, Penny. And now we invite everybody to rise as they are able and willing for our opening hymn, number 133 in the Gray hymnal, One World.
One world, this for all its sorrow, one world shaping one tomorrow, one as community though riven, we to whom a world is given. From one world there is no turning, for one world the prophets yearning, one the world of poets, sages, one word goal of all the ages. World so eagerly expected, world so recklessly rejected, one as common folk have willed it, one as covenants can build it. World of friendly ways and faces, cherished hearts and honored races, one world free in word and science, people free, its firm reliance.
As we enter our sacred space of joys and concerns, we recognize the trials and tribulations of life are more manageable when we share them, and our joys will multiply when we share them as well. I invite you to our stones and water ritual. We line up over by the wall, and we select stones from the basket and gently place them into the chalice of water. Should you wish to share a personal joy or concern about a person in your life, There is a paper to fill out and place in the basket on the way to the chalice. And then after our ritual, I will read these personal joys and concerns to the congregation. I welcome you. This stone is for all of us here in Eastern North Carolina. We are grateful for the little damage done by Ophelia, and we hope that those seriously affected are able to bounce back, and we pray for resilience. This stone is for Reverend Lisa Garcia Simpson. She has COVID and is home recovering. We thank her for recording her message and look forward and anticipate seeing it. Get well soon. And this stone is for many people that I know who have COVID. And I hope that they get well soon too. And this stone is for our longtime member, Beth Baum. Beth passed away peacefully on Wednesday morning in the hospital. Her caregiver, Denise, was with her. A graveside service will be held at 11 a.m. on Saturday, October 14th at Bayview Cemetery in Morehead City. For joys shared, we join you in celebration. For the sorrows and concerns spoken here, may you feel our sympathy and our compassion. For all that remains unspoken, both joy and sorrow, may the caring of our community offer you both kindness and hope. This is our prayer this morning. We thank Reverend Lisa for this. That worries and hurts and heals with us, Spirit of life and love, Spirit of wonder and stillness and autumn days, may we open our eyes to see what is disguised as the mundane, but is in fact miraculous. The gravity that holds us all to this same earth, the energy that moves through this room right now, it whispers to us a simple truth. We are all connected. Even in our pain, in our sorrow, even when human connection seems far away, we are not alone. But how could that be when so often life tries to deceive us into feeling that we're on our own? The Spirit of life laughs because it knows that this interconnected web, you couldn't break from it if you tried. This living, breathing Spirit, we are a part of it, and it a part of us. May our deeds inscribe in the book of life and blessing, righteousness and peace. I invite you into silence and meditation. I think, Megan, did we do that before the blessing song? Not usually. Okay, let's do the blessing song. I apologize. I think I'm missing a page. I made this mistake last week. Blessing when we were born, and it matters what you do, what you know about God. It's a piece of the truth, and you will be what you do, and you don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing we were born, and it matters what I do, what I know about God. It's a piece of the truth, let the beauty we know be what we do, and we don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing we were born, and it matters what we do, what we know about God. It's a piece of the truth, let the beauty we know be what we do, and we don't have to do it alone. Thank you. Our meditation words are from our gray hymnal. It's number 636, and it's titled, Bless Us with Peace. O source of peace, lead us to peace, a peace profound and true. Lead us to a healing, to mastery of all that drives us to war within ourselves and others. May our deeds inscribe us in the book of life and blessing, righteousness and peace. O source of peace, bless us with peace. I invite you into silence and meditation, followed by music played by Megan. Lisa Garcia Sampson is on the screen.
Good morning. I'm so sorry that I am not able to be with you all today in person, but out of an abundance of caution after a recent COVID exposure, we made the very difficult decision for me to stay home and send this video instead. But I'm sending you my love and can't wait to be with you in person and experience your beautiful new sanctuary someday soon. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Reverend Lisa Garcia Sampson, and I serve as the Executive Director of UU Justice NC, our Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry here in North Carolina. We currently work with congregations across North Carolina with the mission of jointly organizing UUs to co-create a transformative movement for justice through spiritual grounding, collaboration, and imagination. We support congregations in their justice work, work in close relationship with our national UU partners, and we are uniquely positioned to work at a state level and organize UUs to contribute to statewide campaigns and movements for justice. Recently, my job afforded me the opportunity to be in conversation with someone I never imagined I'd be on a first-name basis with, one of the most prophetic voices in our faith, the incredible Paula Cole-Jones. Whenever I talk to her, I try to play it cool, but if I'm honest, I'm always a little starstruck. So we're on the phone and it's pretty late. It's like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. And we're talking about the anti-racism workshop that she was doing for us. And we're talking about the brutal legislative session we were having in Raleigh this year, when she suddenly stopped and said, "Lisa, are you outside?" And I was outside. I was walking my dog, and I immediately apologized, thinking she couldn't hear me over the cars in the background. But then she said, no, that's not what I meant. Then she said, "Lisa, look up at the moon." And I did. And it was such a simple thing. I just looked up. And something happened. After a really hard week when I was so wrapped up in my own situation, that act pulled me out of my head and into a larger consciousness. We spent a few minutes just raptured by the crescent moon and how beautiful it feels to be two people separated by hundreds of miles but looking up at that same moon. We imagined how many people on our planet at that very moment were looking up at the moon, discerning their work at this moment in our history and in this moment for justice. It made me feel so small and yet so deeply connected to this abundant, loving movement, larger than our state or our faith, larger than we can even imagine. And it reminded me of something that had just occurred the day before. That weekend, I had been in Wilmington as the movement chaplain for a community safety training. This 2-day training is no joke. It's for people working to keep our movement safe at abortion clinics, drag story hours, voting sites, churches, school board meetings, and all of the places where extremist groups are creating real safety threats in our state. Members of your own congregation were there, alongside your fellow UUs from Wilmington, to learn about situational awareness, de-escalation, and other important skills. And this came at a time when your congregation was considering whether to hang a progress flag. And as part of this, you were discerning the risks of becoming a more visible beacon of progressive values in your conservative town. During one of the breaks for the training, I checked in with Reverend Micah to see how things were going, and they said that your congregation had come to equip themselves with the skills to keep your community safe in case you were ever targeted for doing something visibly progressive in your town. Reverend Micah said it was a powerful thing that you were discerning a call to courage and recognizing that the danger that you are choosing to lean into is for many not a choice, but an inescapable reality. But Reverend Micah said that by far the most important thing that members of your church were learning that weekend was not the skills or awareness of privilege, but it was the realization that you're not alone. Perhaps for the first time, some of the leaders of your congregation look around a room and not only fellow Unions, but the larger beloved community in our state and viscerally understood that you belong to a larger movement for justice that in moments of risk and courage have your back too. Perhaps for the leaders of your congregation, there was a sense in which that was your looking up at the moon moment. Realizing that you are not only accountable to that larger interconnected web, but can also access the love and power and wisdom of that web. And maybe, just maybe, that experience influenced your congregation's decision to hang a progress flag. Following the passage of North Carolina's Don't Say Gay bill, the ban on gender-affirming care for minors, and the ban on trans youth playing sports, that flag will wave as a beacon of love and resistance in your town, and I hope you feel deeply proud of that. I also want you to know that your story is one that I have shared across the state this year, and it has inspired other congregations across North Carolina to act with greater courage too. We are undoubtedly living through a moment where we are all being called to courage, both within and outside the walls of our congregations. So don't forget to look up at the moon and know that the abundant love and power of that sacred web is there to sustain you and to guide you. On Tuesday of that same week, I was at my monthly art club for local justice organizers in Durham, where we explore our work through creative expression. My watercolors are not good, but that's not the point. It's led by the Jewish Studio Project and always begins with a Jewish text study. And that is the second time that week that the moon came to me with a lesson. The text study was about that particular week in the Jewish calendar, and specifically the holy day of Shabbat. Shabbat marks the occasion when the Israelites were journeying in the wilderness in the darkest of nights, when Moses went up to the mountain to receive the 10 Commandments. This is a story I know pretty well, maybe you do too, but what struck me was the reference to the moon. It was the third new moon since they had escaped from Egypt, and the new moon was the darkest point in the moon's cycle because it's the moment when the moon is in conjunction with the sun and its dark side is toward the earth. For all you Pink Floyd fans out there, it's literally the dark side of the moon. I was struck by this because the story reminds me that we are called to have faith that in the darkest, scariest moments in the wilderness, that we can give birth to something new. And the new moon reminds us that our world is ever turning, ever unfolding, and that change is revelation. Change itself is sacred. That is the wisdom that earth-centered and astrological and Eastern religions teach us, and it is a core truth in our own living tradition of Unitarian Universalism. And as we have seen over the last 4 years, we have been through that dark night in the wilderness, and new revelations have come, and our UU faith has been changed. In 2020, You the Vote became the largest activation of UUs in the history of our faith. New technology brought us into deeper relationship with our justice partners and fellow UUs across the state and across the country. And we reached out to over 3 million people. That is the power of our faith. And that moment pushed us to interrogate the limits of our imagination for what is possible, for what we are capable of. In last year's 2022 You the Vote campaign, we went even further. Here in North Carolina, 22 congregations, including your own, wrote over 34,000 postcards with Reclaim Our Vote. And we made 36,000 phone calls to voters with the Carolina Jews for Justice and the New North Carolina Project. And our work for democracy has also sparked a massive activation of UUs across the state, protecting our movement from extremist groups like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. Last month, I was in Bloomington alongside UUs and movement partners for a school board meeting where they discussed banning the book Stamped from the Beginning, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America by Ibram X. Kendi. These New Hanover school board meetings have become a place where the Proud Boys show up in absolutely massive numbers to intimidate anyone advocating for progressive values. So much so that recently that included them loudly taunting trans youth as they testified to the school board about their challenges that they experience in school. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. And whether it's because of political alignment or fear of this group, the school board and the police did nothing to stop these bullies. But on that day, last month, the people of Wilmington did, turning out over 300 people, including 50 UUs, for a pre-school board meeting, Let Freedom Read rally. As a member of our state safety team, we drove in to join their local safety crew in monitoring the perimeter and, when necessary, being prepared to de-escalate. I was on the crew facing the woods, no joke, the woods, because that's where the Proud Boys like to emerge from, wearing their brass knuckles and bandanas over their faces for an added intimidating effect. But guess what? On that day, with the Wilmington community there in massive numbers, for the first school board meeting in a very long time, the Proud Boys didn't show up. Local leaders strongly believe that the massive number of Wilmington residents, loud and strong, proclaiming their values, kept the Proud Boys in the woods that day. And when it started to lightning and torrential rain came down, the crowd of hundreds didn't leave. Instead, they huddled under the overhang of the school board meeting building, soaking wet, shoulder to shoulder, and kept chanting until they were finally let into the building for the meeting. In communities across the state, we are finding our courage. We are finding our power, and we are in this for the long haul. But it's not all about fighting against. This movement is about the act of creation, the act of building the North Carolina that we deserve. This spring, our UU Justice NC network celebrated the biggest win we have ever been a part of, the passage of Medicaid expansion in North Carolina. I know Barb Thomas and so many of you have been waiting for this for over a decade. And yet still, even after the governor signed the bill into law in March, we had more work to do because the General Assembly tied the enactment of Medicaid expansion to the passage of the state budget. This level of cruelty on the part of Speaker Moore and Senate President Berger has left over 600,000 North Carolinians still waiting for the health care that they desperately need. So UUs, in partnership with the North Carolina Justice Center and the People's Budget Coalition, have been showing up all summer long to amplify the stories of those most directly impacted by this delay. 3 weeks ago, UUs had the privilege of accompanying a man named Anthony Brooks from not too far down the road where you live in Washington, North Carolina. We accompanied him to the General Assembly and stood with him as he walked right into the offices of Senator Berger and Speaker Moore and demanded that they stop gambling with his life. See, Anthony has heart failure. And because of the delay in Medicaid expansion, he couldn't afford heart surgery. He literally went to their offices to beg for his life. His story received so much news coverage, and undoubtedly because of that bad press, I can't believe I get to say this, but the state had no choice but to reinstate his health care last week. And I wish you could have been there this week when we got to give him a big hug and see the smile on his face and the relief in his body, knowing that he would soon be able to get life-saving heart surgery. On Wednesday of this week, UUs accompanied another person, Lisa Franklin from Western North Carolina, to Berger and Moore's offices. Lisa has liver failure, and without Medicaid expansion, she has to raise money through GoFundMe to get life-saving care on a weekly basis. Again, her story drew tons of press coverage and piled onto a massive media blitz this month, exposing the cruelty and harm of this delay. And I am thrilled to share with you, if you don't already know, that as of Friday morning, the General Assembly finally passed the state budget, and Governor Cooper immediately issued a statement saying, quote, "I will not allow people who are crying for help to wait any longer. So I am directing our Department of Health and Human Services to begin today the process for expanding Medicaid." This is how we win. It took us 12 years, and people kept telling us it was never going to happen, but together, our Medicaid expansion movement, spanning generations and racial identities and every nook and cranny of the state, kept believing that this day was possible. And friends, now this day is here. That is what I call faith in action. Can I get an amen? And we are just getting started. All of this has informed the evolution of our Unitarian Universalist theology, bringing us into deeper understanding of collective liberation and the personal spiritual transformation that is required. Friends, we are in a new moment. And as people of faith, we are each called to navigate the anxiety and fear and grief that comes with change and be open to the sacred possibilities for liberation. Finally, like the new moon, the full moon also offers us deep wisdom. It is the moment when the sun will illuminate the entire moon, making her the brightest and largest object in our night sky. That big, bright sphere in the dark sky reminds us that we are not meant to just survive in the wilderness. We are meant to dance under the light of the moon. One final story. When I first came to North Carolina, I took over our state justice ministry. I felt very insecure about my role in the movement, particularly because joy has always been the deepest instinct of my spirit. It is a core part of my identity and my ministry, but I worried that leading with joy was inappropriate in this time of such fear and pain and loss. I worried that it would be experienced as a disregard or a privileged avoidance of these realities. And we have got this wrong in the past, friends, our Unitarian Universalist faith. But this is what the movement in North Carolina has taught me. That as the poet Toy Derricott says, Joy is an act of resistance. Joy is not counter to the movement, it is the purpose of the movement. Love and joy and rest and abundance, these are the things we are fighting for. So these are the things we should be fighting with. That is the difference between a movement centered in the act of fighting against versus a movement grounded in the act of creation. A movement that is loving and life-giving and, dare I say it, irresistible. This abundant love is the life source that sustains us, the beacon in the night sky that guides us. So nourish your spirit. Open yourself to receive every blessing this world offers you. Know that it is your birthright. And that as people of faith, we must lean into the movement and help co-create a world where that birthright can be claimed by all. Friends, may we remember that we are held in the beloved community more loving and powerful than we can even imagine. May we have faith that the darkest moments can give birth to something sacred and new. And if we ever feel alone, may we simply remember to look up at the moon. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Lisa. So I invite you to remain seated for our hymn number 133. 131 in the Gray Hymnal.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed and giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep inside you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Every month, we practice something called Share the Plate, where we share half of our offerings with a local nonprofit or charity. In September and October, we are sharing the plate with our holiday giving projects. For many years now, Unitarian Coastal Fellowship has given generously at holiday time to those in our community who are often left out at this season. In addition to the Angel Tree Project Christmas cheer, we bring caroling and gift bags to clients of Empower. We deliver bags to clients of Beach House and Hope Mission's homeless shelter and recovery homes. Today, we welcome John and Mike from Hope Mission House to tell us more. Gentlemen, if you could come up. And welcome to UCF.
What's up with you then? Good morning. This is a beautiful house. This is a beautiful church. Can you all hear me back there? All right, Mike and I are Marines, so we get a little loud and probably will get a little excited about what we're doing. Recently, the last couple of years, I was running a Hope Mission, and recently transitioned over to Hope Recovery Homes, and Mike has taken over Hope Mission. But what we wanted to do today was share with you a lot of what we're doing. The last couple of years have been years of growth, and we can feel it. We're bursting with the requests for support. And, our main mission is to address the needs of poverty, homelessness, and substance use. And we do that various ways by our homeless shelter, Hope Recovery Homes, which is a 6-month residential recovery program. And, the need is so great in Carteret County, and we're starting to spread with suicide prevention and intervention. And we're currently working to the last year or so, we've been working with the town and the county to expand the mission for bed sizes. So we're hoping that by the end of this calendar year, we'll be able to support potentially 24 homeless. This last year, we did something called a point in time count, where we were able to go out, multiple organizations were able to go out in the community, and it's really an unsheltered census where you go out and you find people who are living in the woods that need supportive services. We made contact with 72, but there were still another 40 or so that we were unable to make contact with. That's in Carteret County. Majority of that's in Moorhead. What are we doing to provide supportive services for those that are in dire need? So one of the things that we tried to do this last year, and it is still going on, is our Meals on Wheels program. We tried to think outside the box. How can we get meals? Because originally we had 6-7 actual physical routes within Moorhead City. One that actually got over the bridge, but it wasn't enough. We needed more meals to get out there. So what we were able to do is create frozen routes, and that exploded. One time a week, someone could come on a Monday morning and pick up a whole week's worth of frozen meals and get that out down east, routes out west. So we were able to actually touch the corners of Carteret County through the frozen meal routes. And, recently we were, Meals on Wheels program out of Raleigh reached out to us springtime and said, could we work with you for a program called Hospitals to Homes? And that started out of Raleigh, and we've been working with a couple clients now that are in that program, and that's starting to raise our awareness to help with food insecurity, because it's such a need. You really don't see it a lot, but it's a huge need is food insecurity. And we were blessed to make contact with Daryl, and she's been phenomenal in supporting the soup kitchen. We are currently projected to do 20,000 more meals this year than last year. Last year we did about 42,000, and we're looking to do probably hit over 62,000 by the time we wrap up at Christmas. And we do that through multiple ways, and we're always trying to think outside the box and develop new ways to get, food insecurity issues resolved in Carteret County. So through local partnerships, that's how we do that. We can't do that without, we're opening 6 days a week in the soup kitchen, Monday through Saturday, serving lunch 11 to 12:30. Our Meals on Wheels program, runs 6 days a week. What we do is we provide a frozen meal over the weekend that drivers come on Friday and bring that out. So we're getting meals out there, and we're working with the game wardens. They've been instrumental in getting us a lot of proteins. So thankfully, I'm thankful for poachers. People may not like them, but they're getting caught for one, and we get the meat. So, but you know, I mean, the media, the way that happens is probably not the best, but the result is we're blessing people, you know, through actions of others. That's how I look at it. And if anyone's driven by Hope Mission, you've probably seen large table-like structures out there. We worked with many youth groups this year, about 6 that came through this summer, that helped us build planter boxes. Because at the end of the fall, the local gardens and the local farmers, you know, stop providing us with excess produce. So our intent is to create our own produce that can cover us through those winter months until the farmers start producing produce again. So if anyone drives by Hope Mission and sees those large tables out there, that's what we're doing. So next will be composting, hopefully, and then soon growing our own vegetables through the winter months. We're also looking at expanding that building. We're putting in a fire suppression system, and we're looking at expanding, remodeling the bathrooms so that we're able to support a larger homeless and the support in the community. Currently, we are the only men's shelter in Carteret County. And that's a massive demand. And so Mike has been working around the clock to try and drive new partnerships that can help with that. How do we get another homeless shelter? It requires a building. Well, everyone knows here that buildings are hard to come by in Carteret County. So we're trying to just think outside the box. We're always open to new ideas. Any new partnerships are always open to. It's the human tax that we're really asking for. And that's what really drives the success. Many hands and one heart is our motto, because it takes so many people to get what we're doing accomplished. So we offer emergency financial assistance on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We get a couple grants throughout the year that help drive helping people out with rent and utilities. We do that every Tuesday and Thursday morning. We've actually started this year. It was the first year we started internships. We've got one internship for human services from the community college, and we've got one from ECU, Go Pirates. So we're really starting to drive new partnerships and thinking outside the box and how we can bring bigger awareness and bigger support to our community. We're hoping that soon we can start offering dinners as well. That's down the road, but we're always during those hours of 11 to 12:30, we're giving food away. So we're looking at if anyone ever wants to come and volunteer during lunchtime during the week or wants to come by and provide a dinner. We've been doing that the first Thursday of every month. We do a graduation from our clients in Hope Recovery Homes. Once they complete their 6-month program, we do a dinner that night. You're more than welcome to come and watch. It's amazing to see someone walk out of that program and, you know, they get that 6-month program. They build their foundation in recovery. They rebuild their relationships with families. It's beautiful to see them there with their kids. I'm gonna get emotional. I'm sorry, but this is my passion. This is my heart. This is Mike's heart. We drive to bring that unification back. And if we have to do that through homeless services, Meals on Wheels, emergency financial assistance, recovery, we're going to do it. I want to give it over to Mike now to share his heart.
I don't talk a whole bunch, but I love my job, helping the shelter, Meals on Wheels, and providing that lunch for everybody. So if y'all need anything from me, swing by 15th and Bridges at Hope Mission. Help us out.
Thank you.
For those of you on Zoom, Daryl Walker was giving kudos to Home Mission and all the programs and the food recovery programs. That's what that silence was about for those of you on Zoom. So this morning, please give generously so that we as a congregation can be generous to others. And now I invite the greeters forward so we can collect today's offering. Please join in blessing this offering with hymn number 402, From You I Receive, and we'll sing it twice. And Penny has joined me as we extinguish our chalice. And please join me in reading the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And in Espanol, extinguimos esta llama para la luz de verdad, el calor de comunidad, el fuego de nuestro compromiso, estos los llamados en el corazón, hasta que estemos juntos otra vez. And now we invite all to rise as they're able and willing for our closing hymn, number 1018 in the gray hymnal, Come and Go With Me. I'm sorry, the teal hymnal.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm gone. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be in that land, there'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound.
Thank you. So if you would like to join hands and gather in a circle or circles in some semblance, or if you don't want to join hands, budge elbows for our benediction. And this is, sorry, this is from Reverend Ashley Haran's work, and Reverend Lisa asked me to share it with you. We say it again and again, even when the proof lies somewhere beyond the horizon, beyond our reach, beyond our imagination. This is our faith. Another world is possible, not somewhere else, another world, another lifetime, but here and now, for us and for all. In this time of despair, of fear, of collapse, this time is both like every other era and like no other time in history. It is audacious to declare our faith, but we are an audacious people in good company with many kin, and we are ready to show up and work hard and stay humble and make friends and hold the vision starting here, now, today with us, and persevering however long it takes until that other world is not only possible, but another world is here. Amen.